Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. First of all, I would like to welcome all the great dignitaries assembled here on the stage and on the audience also. Nitin R. Kalmakarji, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule, Pune University, and the President of our function, Padma Bhushan Vijay Bhadkarji, Chancellor of Nalanda University, who has been a great friend to us many years. We know him since the time of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was in Pune. We used to go and meet him. He has such an amazing blend of science and spirituality, and he has done a lot of good work. And we also have guests of honor, Honorable Rajesh Pandeji, Governor's nominee on Management Council, SPPU Pune. We also have Professor Dr. Anjali Kurune, Dean, Faculty of Humanities, SPPU Pune. We have Professor Dr. Sadananda More, President of ABMSS and Chairman of Sant Namdev Adyasan Pune, and many other very esteemed guests arrived here. All great welfare workers for the society with a very good, pure heart and intention for doing the greater good for the world selflessly. I welcome every one of you here today. This BRC, Bhaktivedanta Research Center, is such a very valuable institute for adding value to the people in life. My dear friend Gauranga Prabhu, who has been into this Bhaktivedanta Research Center for since many years, he has joined hands with many of the great dignitaries here, and he was doing such great work in Bombay, Calcutta, and the same good work is coming to Pune here. I am very grateful to him and thankful to him for creating this wonderful platform in which many students are going to do research in Indian philosophy, Sant Sahitya, music, culture, art, and such kinds of different fields. So, what is the most essential thing that we can do in the life of the modern day youth today? I heard that out of the 140 crore population of India, more than 70 crores are youths. And we can say that they are the leaders of tomorrow. So what kind of lifestyle will they lead? What kind of habits will they have? What kind of character they will have? And will they emulate the role model of their ancestors, carrying life of values? There is a very big gap between the previous generation and the next generation. There's a large scale degradation even in our country due to the media explosion. And there is a degradation in character. So what can we think of as one prime subject? I have been traveling to colleges in India and abroad. One example I'll tell you. When I was in Massachusetts, the Institute of Technology in Boston, I was giving a lecture. I just made one passing statement that in this world all of us are co-workers. None of us are independent, I said. And then I gave an example. Arjuna was a co-worker with Lord Krishna. So it is by Krishna's advice and Arjuna's action, the war was successful. So, and then I made a following statement that, in this world, all of us are symbiotically dependent on one another, mutually dependent. So that boy objected. He raised the hand. And he said, you see, as soon as I graduate from MIT, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I will start my own industry. My father is very rich. And I will have 5,000 employees in my company. And my company will bring me a lot of money. And I'm not going to depend on anybody. And I'm inheriting the money from my father and I'll be independent, he said. Then I told him, see, your success of your industry depends on the people whom you are employing. If the employees don't cooperate with you, they won't bring success for you. Think about it. Then he thought for a while. At the end of the class, he said, what you said is right, he said. He admitted. You will see a husband and wife are symbiotically related. Plants are giving us oxygen, we are giving them carbon dioxide. Parents take care of the budding children, and when children grow up, they take care of the parents. Tell me in this world, who is not a co-worker? So, what the society needs the most in the modern times is self-management. Self-management has 5 subjects. I will just say a couple of lines about each of them. The first thing in self-management is goal setting. We should be very clear about what is the goal of human life. When once Narada came to Indraprastha, at that time the Pandavas were having a dialogue amongst themselves. So they were asking, what should be the goal of life? So Arjuna said, money should be the goal of life because he is Dhananjaya. Without money, how can you do anything at all in life? Money is most essential. And when Yudhishthir came there, Yudhishthir said, no, dharma is the goal of life. Dharmo rakshati rakshataha. And then he said, if you have money, but you don't have dharma, all the money will go down the drain. It will not remain with you, he said. And then Bhima came and said, you guys are talking about dharma and artha, but actually karma is the goal of life, he said. Because if you have money, you can't enjoy that money. What's the use of that money? And if you say you follow dharma and the dharma doesn't make you happy, it makes you miserable, what's the use of dharma? He said. And then Narada came there and Narada told them, what is ideal in our life is we should have a balance between dharma and artha. Because when there is no balance between, therefore you say Shubha Labh, be right. Labh means artha. Shubha means Narayana. So Narayana and Lakshmi are together in Shubha Labh. And if you don't have the Shubha, remove the Shubha, if you have only Labh, that's what Ravana tried to have by carrying goddess of fortune Sita away, and then he was destroyed. If one has money but he doesn't have character, all that money will go down the drain. So therefore, in America, there was a real story. One rich man had 2 sons. He was a multi-billionaire actually. And he was a drunkard. He ruined his whole life. He had to take a lot of medicines and he pitiably died. But then his 2 sons, the elder son became a very noble person. He went very high in his academics and everything. He started industries, became a very big man in society. And the younger one became again a drunkard and got spoiled. So one staff reporter asked both of them, what is it that makes you such a great leader? And what is it that makes you so degraded? What's the reason? They found out, both of them said, we learned from our father, they said. So the second son said, because my father was a drunkard, I became drunkard, he said. And the first one said, I learned from my father how drinking ruins our life. That's a lesson he learned, because he was a boy of character. He had learned something good from the school, from the teachers. He picked up the right thing. So therefore, people need to know the goal of life. I can succinctly tell you what's the goal of life in just 2 phrases. Rekindling wisdom, reviving love. This is the goal of life.
The best way to get.
So rekindling wisdom is of the head and love is of the heart. We need a balance between head and heart. People who have only head are very fanatical people, dry people. They are heartless and they are merciless and they are non-compassionate, non-considerate. And people who are with the heart, they are very compassionate, very sympathetic, very nice, very good in dealing, but they don't know what is right. They need the head to do the right thing. So we need to combine these 2, rekindling wisdom and reviving love. So what is wisdom all about? It's about 3 things: matter, spirit, and controller of both. Now modern man is studying so many subjects only about matter. Like one boy, when I was in West, he was telling that he is doing research on the nervous system of cockroaches. His doctorate thesis for 6 years. So I told him, do you know the nervous system of frogs? He said, sorry, that's another field, I don't know. Then there is nervous system of humans, nervous system of birds. It's such a big field in biomedical, if you see. And there are people dealing with machines, dealing with computers. There are people doing so many other things also. But all these people are studying only about matter. But they don't know about the spirit at all. What is life? In this world, Jada and Chetan, 2 things can be seen visibly by all of us. And we know Chetan is superior to Jada. But beyond the 2 is Ishwar. Without knowing Ishwar, our life would be incomplete. And therefore, when people don't know about God, then there is greed always. Like Gandhi rightly said, there is enough in this world for everyone's need, but not for one man's greed. So in Sanskrit, there are 2 formulae. One is Jiyo Jinedo, which you all know. Another one is Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. So Jivo Jivasya Jivanam means, I try to eat you and you try to eat me. And that's the whole world all about now, in the current moment. Opposite of that, just opposite of that is Jiyo Jinedo, live and let live. So all of you dignitaries assembled here, if we all want to make this world a Jiyo Jinedo world, unfortunately people have only Jio SIM nowadays. Nobody has Jinedo SIM. Somebody has to make a Jinedo SIM also. So therefore the goal setting means the goal of life should be to cultivate wisdom about what? Matter, spirit, and controller of both. This is wisdom. And love. Love for whom? People love their mother first, then they love their father, then they love their brother and sister. Does the love end there? No. Then you love your caste people. Then you love your state people. Then you love your country people. Then when you travel all over the world, you love all human beings, but still people cut the cows, they kill innocent creatures. If you want to expand your love unlimitedly, that's only possible when you love God. Therefore it is said, love God, love all. So God is like a master switch. Then when you love God, then there is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole globe becomes one family. So with Lord in the center. So this is about wisdom and love, which is a goal setting in our life. So our boys and girls in this current day society should not be taught only to have material goals. Material goals makes them simply like two-legged animals. We want to actually teach them you should have a smaller picture of life and a larger picture of life. That leads us to the second point, which is decision making. Like, after knowing goal setting, the decision, what is decision making? What is right? What is wrong? What is hitakarak? What is hanikarak? And what should be picked? What should be dropped? What is small observation? What do you call it? Like a larger observation and a smaller observation. People have become so localized in their own small material fields, they don't know the ultimate goal of life. Try to ask yourself a question. A boy is playing in the seashore and making sandcastles, which is washed away by the seashore. The seashore by the sea waves. And he cries. But then when he looks towards mother and father, they tell him, "Beta, it's getting dark now, come, let's go." So then he leaves it behind and goes, because his relationship is not with the seashore. His relationship is with the parents. Similarly, our relationship is with God, not with this world where everything is created and destroyed in this world. So people always are so short-sighted, they become completely like a Kopamanduk, we say, like a frog in the well. They can't see the Atlantic Ocean, which is a larger life and happier life. So first I told you is goal setting, rekindling wisdom and reviving love. Second thing is decision making. So children need to be taught about making the right decisions in life, what to choose, what to pick, what to drop. What is short-term pleasure? Like we say, kshanik sukh, we say, and ananta sukh. They should know the difference between the two, and that is decision making. Then, and thirdly, after making the decision, they should also be given training about communication. What is communication? How to communicate my idea to others, speak in such a way that others will listen to us, and hear in such a way that others will be able to speak to us. So when God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means we have to listen well. So therefore many people don't listen. Therefore sometimes 2 people come and shout like anything, because although they are very near, their hearts are far away. Therefore they yell. In order for people to be able to connect with each other, the communication is important, which means how should I treat my seniors, my equals, my juniors? How should I treat women? How should I treat children? How should I treat the nature, environment? How should I treat the poor animals? All are taught in the Vedic literature very well. So this is actually communication all about. Communication is not about how to make more money, how to become more popular, how I can cut your throat and I can exploit you, how I can climb on your head. That's not the goal. The goal is actually to communicate with each other for Jio Jinedo, again. So that is about communication. Then the fourth one is time management or priority management, we can say. There are 4 things in our life, whatever you do in life. One is decide. Second one is do it now. Third one is delegate. Fourth one is delete. These are the 4 types of activities you can think about. Quadrant 2 we call it, which is decide. That's the most intelligent quadrant, which is not urgent, important. What is it all about? Developing relationships, planning for the future, handling preventive maintenance, and also training oneself, training the people in our custody, building healthy relationships. All these things are in quadrant 2. If you focus on them, they're all delegate. They're all about, you can decide slowly, there is time for you. And then the first quadrant is do, urgent, important. So when you go from delegate to do, that's where you handle crisis management and all that, which is also a good platform. But the third and fourth quadrant are useless, which is delegate and delete. So they have to be taught about, nowadays many boys, girls are spending so much money, they are spoiling their good health also by putting things which are not good for the system and also wasting their time. So if you want to teach the children well, then after the first 3 are taught, then the fourth is time management should be taught to prioritize things in their life, what is important in life. Then the last one is called learning agility. Learning agility means we should be able to adapt ourselves with different kinds of people we work with. Hmm? Like, Arjuna was taught by Krishna in 2.14, Bhagavad Gita. Don't try to change the world around you. You learn the art of surviving in a world of challenges and competitions. You should learn that. Gandhi said the same thing. You be the change, what you want to see in others, he said. So first set an example, then demand others to follow. Like that, the engine should be in the front. So engine leads by example and other bogies follow it. So therefore, this is the last one, learning agility, adapting ourselves to the world around us. For that, we need a high inner character of integrity, honesty, truthfulness, thinking win-win, maturity, being considerate. So we should be satisfied with ourselves and be sensitive to others. So these kind of qualities will actually make us very successful in adapting ourselves in this world and living very happily, even in a world of challenges. And also, learning agility not only means surviving with, communicating with people. It also talks about ad hoc jobs come on us. Several challenges come in our life. How to be like a shock absorber, willing to take the modern day shocks. I don't have to tell you how the life is nowadays. So therefore, we need these five type of qualities which constitute self-management. I told you to begin with. I told you goal setting. Then I told you the decision making. Then we talked about time management, communication. Then time management and learning agility. All these things constitute together self-management. So recently I was giving a seminar on 10 topics called a self-development course. Because when I see the youths, I feel pity. Many of them are very well-to-do family. Like in IIT Hyderabad, 2019, 3 boys committed suicide in IIT Hyderabad by jumping off from the 7-story building. Now they have closed the terrace and everything. And I was telling the IIT boys recently when I met them, see, Pandavas underwent such difficulty. Their wife was insulted, they were driven to the forest, assassination attempts was made in the Varanavat Lakshagraha and all those things. And Bhima was fed with poison. Did the thought of committing suicide ever cross their minds? Think about it. So Pandavas never committed suicide because they always had a very good advisor with them, which is Lord Krishna with them. But modern day children are deprived of learning good values and morals and habits and character and everything, and which is actually taught through art, poetry, music, culture, philosophy, all these things. Idam kipumsas tapasashchutasya va svishtasya suktasya cha buddhidattayoho avichito vartakavi nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Art, poet, science, poet, all these things should be utilized to ultimately glorify God. But while we are in this world, the very same things will teach us morals, values, ethics, character, all these things in our life, and spirituality in our life. So I'm very, very pleased to see this Bhaktivedanta Research Center coming up in Pune. And I especially want to thank one very special personality who's a very great binder of all the people here, which is Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu. And I have never seen anyone, such a sensitive man, such a friendly man. Where is Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu? He's actually, he's the one who won the heart of Dumal sir, and also Bhadkarji and all of them. Many of them sincerely appreciate his especially humanness and kindness and friendliness and professionally doing things. It's a very rare combination because professional people are often very sharp and, they're insensitive, oftentimes it's seen. And people who are people of the heart may often be unorganized. But he has a good, rare combination of being very professional on one hand and being very friendly on the other. I'm very thankful to Balabhadra Kripa Prabhu. Without his taking initiative, and then there is Shweti Prabhu, Chitture sir, and many others came together, and this initiative has come up very well. Gaurang Prabhu has been coming time and time again and guiding us what we should be doing here. And he has a very good team of Balram Prabhu and Sumantra Prabhu and all these people. So we are very pleased. Pune is actually Punya Nagari. It's a very beautiful place, and Pune is known for both culture and education. And Pune is called as Oxford of the East. So it's very appropriate to have this BRC here. So I thank all the great dignitaries. I know every one of them is so busy people in their life. They have taken out their valuable time to come for this inauguration. I thank every one of them. Thank you. One last thing. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the West, especially London, people asked him, why have you come here? Prabhupada told them that you looted India very well, but one thing you forgot to take with you. And that is the Vedic wisdom of India, which I have come to give you, he said. So Prabhupada will be so pleased to see these initiatives because he wanted ISKCON society to be actually educational organization. And he actually wanted to be like a university. He said, we don't want just people ringing the bell, putting a coin and going. We want people to be enlightened. So we have many, many highly educated, educated preachers in ISKCON society. And this BRC initiative, I am very sure, will lead to bringing out many, many doctorates in the near future. Thank you.